Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Living the Dream. Kind of. So, some of you may have heard that we have a little bit of a minor incident back on May 17th. And I'm going to bring Margie into focus because she got the brunt of most of it. So, what happened? We were bicycling on our Trek townies separately, and we had exited the bike path down here in Spring Hill to cross Spring Hill Drive, which is kind of a good-sized road. Agreed?
4 lanes.
Yeah, 4 lanes, 2 lanes east, 2 lanes west, maybe a turning lane either side of that. But couldn't ask for a better combination of things to go wrong. So this is a slight incline from the south to the north as you're pedaling across, alongside an overpass for the Suncoast Parkway, which is flanked by a southbound ramp to get off the Suncoast, a northbound ramp to get on the Suncoast, on a curve with 2 traffic lights from a 55 to a 40. So, what happened, you ask? And actually, some of you have been asking, so we apologize for being a little bit late with this video, but you probably, been a tad busy. You probably have gathered that we got a little bit going on. So we had stopped, tripped the traffic control signal for pedestrians or bicyclists, etc. And we did have the walking man. So as we started across the Suncoast with our pedal assist, across Spring Hill Drive, Margie probably 98% of the way across the road, and we heard a horn blow, and I looked, and all of a sudden, clearly out of the blue, was a vehicle that we think slowed, but we're not really sure, and wound up actually T-boning Margie and myself. So, a little bit of an airborne exit for Marge. What was it? Windshield, hood, ground?
Windshield, ground.
Yeah. So Marge, conscious and alert throughout, does a really excellent pre-hospital survey of herself, locates a dislocated broken ankle on her left side, conscious and alert enough after something horrific to tell bystanders. There was an inordinate amount of bystanders that stopped by, not to move her head, not to compromise that cervical spine. Yeah, and thank you so much, guys, for stopping. They were, and one guy actually put her sunglasses back on because, as you know, in Florida in May, it's a little bit bright and a little bit sunny. So anyway, I got to her, did a quick primary assessment on her. Good pulses, belly's good. I won't go into any great details of what that is, but we strongly suggest that you take a standard first aid CPR class. Margie and I have previous experience.
And wear a helmet when you're riding a bicycle.
Yeah, and wear a helmet. We obviously have had a career in pre-hospital EMS, obviously as paramedics, and we're fortunate enough to teach that paramedic program as well. So we kind of had an understanding of what to do and how to work through that. Those of you guys, not picking on anybody, but please take the class and be serious about the class. You never know when it's going to affect you or a loved one. Whether you opt to stop and help someone else is your business, but my Lord, in a split second on the clock, things change dramatically. The one, I guess, funny takeaway was Marge believing that she was bleeding extremely heavily or profusely, yeah. Not realizing, of course, and I had already done this survey, so when she said that kind of in a humorous way, I looked at both my hands and I said, my God, how did I miss all this blood that you're feeling? Well, it turned out to be her Camelback. It was leaking and dripping all over her, so we actually got a little bit of a chuckle out of that while we were waiting for EMS. So shout out to Hernando County EMS Fire Rescue Station 3 and the rest of you. You did an amazing job on the spot. They must have been sitting literally in the parking lot waiting for me. So a good time, was had by all, I guess. So off to Bayonet Point we go, and you're going to start to see some pictures above of the bicycles, some of the injuries that were sustained and where we're at. So a couple of things that we realized while we were doing our hospital visit, which was what, March, 5 days?
5 or 6 days.
5 days and probably 2 or 3 surgeries into it, and then a few more that are scheduled down the road. So what Margie wound up with are a broken ankle on the right side, which is going to self-heal. It's in a boot currently. A pretty decent fracture dislocation of the tib fib on the left ankle. And yeah, and her right ulna, along with cervical 1 and some herniations in her neck. On a seriously, and a bump on her head, yeah. But on a really good note, guys, you know, don't focus on things that have gone wrong. Focus on the things that could have gone wronger or worse. For instance, a low-profile vehicle that struck her, so obviously the low extremities are problematic. But if you think of a higher-profile vehicle, similar to what we drive, our Tahoe, or something SUV style, well, then you're looking at, you know, mid-leg, knee, thigh, pelvis, belly, head, neck, etc. So some of the things, again, and you're seeing these pictures above with preparation. Margie and I are kind of fanatical, maybe more than me than her, with first aid equipment, self-defense equipment, things of that nature. So each of our vehicles, Tahoe, RV, bicycles, motorcycles, etc., all have a fair amount of first aid equipment, which you're seeing now. Good sized bandages, you know, conformity splints, some cravats, obviously, if you have an injury, a tourniquet, quick clot, chest seal, things that we thought would be necessary with bicycling, motorcycling, kayaking, etc. So those mechanical injuries or internal injuries, if you will. And we actually ordered, excuse me, a couple of other tourniquets probably about a month prior. And as I was asking Marge to do that, I had thought to myself, you know, am I getting kind of cuckoo?
Are we ever going to use them?
Yeah, and I thought, well, you know, I'm not going to say anything about that. We're just going to order them because we actually carry them on our person. And that was brought up through a training event that we participated in with the Hernando County Sheriff's Department, which was response to active shooters. And one of the deputies remarked that, you know, how many people actually carry a tourniquet on them, etc. So obviously Marge and I didn't raise our hand. But guys, we're living in a world that we never made, and you can turn on the news any given day and see what happens. And there was a time when maybe only law enforcement or the military needed a tourniquet or body armor. And if you didn't run in a circle that would necessitate you needing that, you probably never would encounter it in your life. Well, those days are long gone. So thankfully, we didn't need any of our heavy-duty equipment, but we certainly needed some of the other stuff, and one of that was our skills and our mindset to control ourselves so that we didn't lose control and freak out and make a scenario that was difficult even worse. So, moving along, bicycles, spoke reflectors on every bicycle. We do wear helmets that have reflective tape on them. We have strobe lights on the helmets, strobe lights on the bicycles. The bicycles are all reflective taped as well, and none of it helped. None of it helped. So obviously 3 of us trying to occupy the same spot physically didn't work. I should have learned that a long time ago, but we certainly, you know, gave it a go. So as far as some of the takeaways, like we said, with being hospitalized and some injuries that you're seeing above now with Marge and I a little bit ago, was what happens after the event. And guys, I am telling you now, we are pretty locked down with hurricane Bibles, you know, notes, 60, 70 gallons of fuel, backup generators, backup air conditioners, you name it, we got it, right? We're kind of the Walmart of Florida. But the one thing that we did not prepare for is, and this is probably a line out of the movie We Were Soldiers, where Colonel Hal Moore told the sergeants and so forth to learn the jobs of the folks above them and below them in case something happened. Margie and I have very defined roles, whether it's personal or work related, and it showed when Marge was at the hospital in somewhat disrepair and Jim was home with the 10 crazies and things that he had no idea how to handle, such as how to handle ordering cat food.
Go back, Val.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say about your phone too.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you that my phone was destroyed. Marge's was intact in the bike on the handlebars, which were detached, but so I had no access to any of my contacts or any of my information. We did learn with some help that selecting the messages on your iPad will actually allow you to text message back and forth. So I was able to get those work. We have a app called Ring Central, so I was able to still contain or maintain our work-related duties. Marge did lose some time for the first week because of that. So what we decided was we need to get a little bit more involved with what each other is doing. So we are now getting a almost an old phone book style. Here comes Alfred to say hello and check up on everything. The Godfather, right? He knows pretty much everything, and we're not sure if he knows Kung Fu based on that mustache that he has. But in any event, we're now going to put every single password that we have in one book. Mine were all stored in my notes in my phone. Margie's are stored in a phone book that she keeps. What we thought, since we are a team and this is a team effort, that maybe it would be best if we had access to one book. We can still keep our own. And phone numbers, right? I'm not sure how many of you actually know the phone number of anybody, but we quickly realized that other than each other and some very close friends, we do not. So we took away some good teachable things from this event. So we're now going to pretty much have some documentation as to where Alfred's medications come from and how do I order them. Now remember, there's fixes for all of this. I could always contact the veterinary hospital that we use, and as far as cat food, they might get whatever I have as leftovers, because they eat everything pretty much. Pretty unique with all of that. But we did come away with some really key takeaways. Some of the other takeaways, even though we were bicycling, this was a motor vehicle crash because we were struck by a car. So our insurance for vehicle actually absorbed the initial part of this incident, and then when that is exhausted, it will turn over to our personal insurance. Some other things that we learned about is something called uninsured motorist, which we had never heard of in our life. But what that does is allows us some extra coverage if in fact the motorist has no insurance, which in our case with this incident, he does not. His insurance had lapsed, so obviously his responsibility to himself was more important than, if something had happened or, taking care of folks in this type of an event. So that's kind of where we're at with things like that. As far as where we are going, Margie is doing amazing. Yeah, she is up, she is about, she actually canceled all her square dance lessons, but as far as being able to transfer to the wheelchair, use the bathroom facilities, maintain her own personal hygiene, doing her exercises and working out, if you will, again, not going to the gym, really doing amazing. But the mental warrior part of her is absolutely huge. So rewind back to the day after this crash, less than 24 hours and one surgery done already with an external fixator on her left leg. The physical therapy and occupational therapy came in and said, "Hey, Marge, we want to get you up to the edge of the bed." And she thought, what?
Hell no.
Hell no. She looked like, Scott, you look like you got hit by a car. No pun intended, because she did. And she had, I guess what, had a little internal struggle as to where you actually going to try to get up.
That was the second day.
Right, the day after though, it was Wednesday.
The day they actually got me up. They got me to the edge of the bed.
The day after the crash.
After the crash, and that was a struggle. Physically, because I was beat, but the day after that, they came in and said, we want you to at least get to the edge of the bed if you can and maybe get up. And I thought, you know what, I was going to tell them I'm not feeling it, I don't think I can do it. But I said, you know what, I'll give it a shot, and worst case scenario, I'll get to the edge of the bed and get
Or pass out.
or pass out.
Yeah.
So, got me to the edge of the bed, got me up in a chair, and I was up for several hours.
Yeah.
Um,
But there was a part of you that thought you didn't want to do
I
it,
didn't think I could do it. I
but
really
you didn't want to, and then you actually said, you know what, if I don't, I'm never gonna.
Right. So just keep that in mind. God forbid anything ever happens. You gotta try it. And once you get over that initial step, it just gets every single day has been easier.
Yeah.
Every single day.
But putting off that first step or not doing it may
I
really
think
not
that
be.
could have really hurt me.
It really could have, yeah. So, you know, guys, truth be told, we're sitting out there at the desk, Valerie and I, and you know, the PT and the OT guy, Carol, actually came out and said, I'm going to be honest with you, we never ever thought she would get out to just hang her feet off the bed. So that warrior mentality, you've got to, look at, we're all going to get dealt with, you know, that stick that everybody knows, you know, is you know, fecally challenged at the end.
Everybody gets hit with the poop stick.
Yeah, right. But we have a magnet on our refrigerator that says never, 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 ever give up, and that's kind of the way we are. All right, this is something that happened. We're dealing with it, and it's a setback, but it's not something that's fatal at all. Okay, so as difficult as things may be, and we're not going to turn this into a life coach speech, but give it a go, even if it feels uncomfortable.
You're not a philosophizer.
I'm not a philosophizer, no. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and certainly you'll get billed for it later on through your hospital. So that's where we're at. So as far as where we're going, like I said, things have been going fantastically well. Margie has been transported through Stretcher Limo, a company that's been around for 35 years, and I would tell you they are spot on, especially Jose.
Yeah, he's
Jose
great.
is our guy,
Great
man.
driver.
He is just a great driver, 10
Easy
and
on
2.
the bumps, so he didn't hurt me.
Oh yeah, easy on the accelerator. But I tell you, if I was working back in the ambulance days, I would have him as my driver because he clearly understands what the patients are going through, or the customers, or the guests, the way they refer to them. So a couple of transports back and forth, none of which insurance is covering, so that's out of pocket. Keep that in mind. Make sure you understand what your coverages do for you. But Margie is scheduled again for surgery in a little over a week and a half. Hopefully the external fixator will be gone, so no more Herman Munsterfoot. And that'll allow her to continue to grow and get better each and every day. And again, it has been huge. But Margie, you have to admit that not being able to care for yourself, or the little things that people, we don't want to say take for granted,
Well, you do.
but just something like personal hygiene.
Okay, so I'm sitting here, and people take for granted. It's summertime, even though we're indoors, it's hot in Florida. Drinking water constantly, and you don't really appreciate just getting up and go to the bathroom by yourself. You know?
I do.
I know you do.
I
You
do,
should.
yeah. And it was a little bit of a challenge initially because we were using the portable one. And you know, it's not just the physical part of things, but it speaks directly to the mental part, right? So one of the things when we got the wheelchair was transferring to the wheelchair, me initially bringing Marge into the bathroom, her being able to do her business, you know, wash, brush her teeth, etc. But then it's, you know,
Plus,
now,
getting me up that many times is better than sitting here.
yeah.
I mean, I have to get shots in my belly of heparin so I don't get a blood clot. But
Yeah.
that's something that'll help prevent that. Getting
Sure.
Up, you know?
Sure.
Um,
But now you're
instead of
actually
just going
mobile
from
on
here to
your
the
own.
commode, now I can get up, get in the wheelchair, go in, use the bathroom, do what I've got to do, and it's that much better for keeping my circulation and keeping me going.
Yep, and little Sophie's coming to give her a hand, and I'm just going to pan really
She's a
quick.
boss
Little
lady.
Alvin, who's like, I'm not
That's
sure
his
what's
new
going
sleepy
on,
spot.
but they're digging this little leg trough. So like I said, things have been going well. So it's a combination of both physical and mental from not only the patient, but the caregiver as well, right? And try to stay connected. Some good open lines of communication. We haven't necessarily connected 100% of the time, but we're probably 98%. So a couple of discussions of things that she wanted to do that I said no. Said she can't walk. She really doesn't get a vote. Seriously, how far can
That's
you
the
roll?
mental part.
You know, how far could you roll? My wheelchair is attached to my hands. But anyway, keeping up the laughs, keeping up the good spirits. Friends have been awesome. Work friends have been awesome. Family's been awesome. So things are going really well for us. And like I said, we apologize for getting this video out a little bit late, but we've been a tad busy.
Yeah, a little busy.
Yeah, and I did want to get it out because a bunch of you had Facebooked me and asked. So you can continue to follow this journey a little bit closer if you want to join our Living the Dream Facebook page. It's an open page. You can post to that. You can see some videos of the crazy kittens or hell on paws. And then we'll update as we go. Timeline, we're looking at the fall. Right? Yeah, before we...
Well, completely, hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh, no, actually, that's not true. For the leg, when I met with the surgeon Wednesday, he said that a bone takes approximately 3 months to heal. When I have surgery on this ankle again, the clock starts again, which means roughly the end of September. However, then I have to address the cervical fracture that I have and the herniations, which they had mentioned that there were most probably is the way the surgeon said it in his notes, that I would probably need surgery. So that's another thing once this is all, the broken bones are fixed, is things in the spine. But I mean, today spinal surgery is not like it used to be. It's, a little cut and fix it.
Yeah, we believe outpatient as well as the
Yeah,
leg is,
pretty sure it's
et cetera. Yeah, so guys, no pun intended. Positive mentality going forward each and every day. Smile every day. Don't just say you're enjoying your life. Actually enjoy your life. Enjoy those little things or those subtleties that you have. And the other part of this...
Like ice cream.
Like ice cream. The other part of this for her and I, this is one step at a time. Literally. And it's not a big step, but it is one step at a time. And that's what we knew right after Margie hit the ground. And honestly, it was about a 7 on the landing because your legs did not stay together. But anyway, that's between her and I. So that's it. As always, smash that like button. Subscribe to our channel if you have not. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, hit us up on either comments here. Facebook, which is that Living the Dream page. I'm going to go answer that text now. And be like the Godfather. Just chill out every day and enjoy your life. Until we see you again, keep living the dream.